be a great game. Excited. Can't wait to see them here at home.
It's two great teams, division rivals, and to get to where we both want to go, we'll probably have to see one another.
The intensity is always high, the emotion's high. Everyone wants to win. You know, it's a brawl. No matter who's in front of you, just beat the hell out of it.
We trust in our fans, we trust the environment, and then we'll let the game do the talking.
You know, the fireworks are going to be blazing. You know, it's definitely going to be a lot of highlight plays.
Yes, we want to get to this 10th win. This is an excellent opportunity for us to play in playoff-type games without playoff consequences, and I think that serves very well. So, it's the Cowboys and the Eagles. I don't think you have to say anything more than that.
Every week, every game throughout an 18-week NFL season, the possibilities are endless. But tonight at AT&T Stadium, one of two things will happen. Either the longest home winning streak active in the NFL will come to an end, or the Dallas Cowboys will be in first place in the NFC East. It's a rivalry renewed in Arlington. It's the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, and we're here to lead you up to kickoff on Cowboys Pregame Live. Alongside Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, three former Cowboys. I'm Kyle Yeomans. So glad you've joined us here on what is a big week for the Dallas Cowboys, possibly the biggest throughout the NFL season. You can talk about these last 5 games being the biggest in the last couple seasons for the Cowboys if they have a chance to do what they want to do, which is make a deep playoff run here in 2023. But let's start things off with this rivalry. All three of you guys have seen the Eagles throughout your career. What does this rivalry mean to both of these franchises?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. This is the rival for the Dallas Cowboys when you talk about it. I mean, it's Sunday night. It's prime time. You're going against the Eagles. A heated rivalry between the Dallas Cowboys and the Eagles are legendary. If you need more to get hyped up for this game, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, you're talking about, aside from the fact that it's just the Eagles, this is for the NFC East first place seed. That's what you're playing for. You're battling these cats that are in your way, that have the throne right now, and you just want to go ahead and climb that mountain and kick them on down the hill.
From the Bounty Bowl of Buddy Ryan, to now, with a chance at not only the East, but a slight tie for first place in the NFC, the conference. Let's go, Cowboys.
And they're going to have to do so under unique circumstances without Mike McCarthy throughout the week. He is back tonight. He'll be back on the sideline, but had to go an appendectomy. I'm not a medical scientist or broadcaster. I'm a sports guy. I like to talk ball. But with Mike McCarthy, he was out throughout the week. How significant is it the fact that, one, he's able to return? Does that provide a jolt and a confidence boost to this team? But also, how significant was it that he missed some time throughout the week?
Well, when you talk about time throughout the week, I don't think it was that significant because you got a team right now led by a lot of veteran guys out there, 2 former head coaches on the staff as well. So I think him missing the week wasn't a big deal. But him being here for this game on the sidelines, I think is huge. You have your play caller down there communicating with Dak Prescott, seeing how the defense is matching up with their offense in real time. Plus, Mike McCarthy is one of the best play callers in the National Football League this year. It's a huge advantage for him to be on the sidelines this week.
I think this dude is going to have a huge impact in terms of emotional intelligence for these guys and their ability to be able to control their feelings on the field. Listen, everybody knows how big of a game this is. Everybody knows how heated of a rivalry it is. To look over there and see your head coach on the sideline and you know that you don't want to disappoint him. You don't want to add to this turnover issue that you've had. I think it's very impactful. And then you add on what he overcame this week, it's huge.
It's a lot of times you ask the players to step a little bit higher when they're in pain, when they're going through something. But for your coach to step up and do what he has to do and to make to get on the sideline to make these calls and to help Dak be who he's going to be tonight, that's a great thing.
Well, and this is a coaching staff that has relied on mantras throughout Mike McCarthy's tenure. It was victory one year. Last year, it was resilience. And Mike McCarthy showing that in the biggest week of the year, when a medical emergency provides a change of plans, he shows resilience to even be in the building and be on the sideline for his squad. I think from a respect standpoint, that builds with your players, and it does provide a bit of a confidence change as well. And they're going to need that confidence not only this week, but down the stretch. The Cowboys, according to Pro Football Focus, have the toughest schedule remaining all the way down to the final week of the NFL regular season. Not only do they face the Eagles this week, but they've got Buffalo, then Miami, both on the road, both in playoff position inside the AFC. Then they get back to the NFC, back home to AT&T Stadium to welcome in the Detroit Lions before closing out against the Washington Commanders. On the opposite side, it's a much different looking schedule for the Philadelphia Eagles. Seattle, New York twice, and then a struggling Arizona team in there as well. So the Cowboys, if they win today, would temporarily take first place from the Eagles because of current tiebreakers. But based off of that Philly schedule, they've got a chance to retake those tiebreakers at the end of the campaign. How does that build the importance of this matchup specifically?
Well, this game to me is of the utmost importance because you're one step closer to getting what you want, and that's home field throughout the playoffs. If we look at it, I think we can all agree up here, this team is different at home than it is on the road. At home, they're averaging 41 points per game. On the road, they're averaging just 23 points per game. So to me, they've got to be able to finish this schedule out first. But first, you got to take care of the Eagles, which is going to be a heck of a matchup tonight.
The reality is, if you don't win this ball game, you have no shot at winning the NFC East. That's the reality. So you can look past and look at all these other games and look at their schedule and see how easy it may or may not be. Take care of the assignment that's in front of you tonight. You're back at the crib where you're 14-0 your last 14 games. Go ahead and make it 15 and give yourself an opportunity.
I predicted once they lost to the Eagles the first time that they needed to win 5 straight. This is the 5th game. Win this game and the world is yours. Lose this game, who knows what will happen.
Yeah, you would need a number of things to go your way in order to even be back in the conversation in the NFC East. Now, you've got to get things to go your way first tonight, and they'll rely heavily on Dak Prescott, who's been nails against the Philadelphia Eagles and against really the NFL in general. There you see Dak Prescott's rankings for completion percentage, passing yards per game, passing touchdowns this year. And then what the Eagles have done defensively, Dak Prescott throughout his career, 30-8 in his career against the NFC East. That's the second best winning percentage among quarterbacks against their own division all time. Isaiah, when you look at the way that Dak has been playing against what you're going to see from this Eagles defense, how much can he have an impact on this one?
He could have a tremendous impact, but he had a tremendous impact the last time that they played against these guys. And in Week 9, this dude had 374 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and 0 turnovers. It's hard to imagine that he's going to have a better showing than that. But you would like to see him, try to duplicate that. If he can do that and you can get your running game going, I think you improve the chances of you and the probability of you winning this ball game.
Understand one thing, Dak goes along with the offensive line. Offensive line has to play better to do what Isaiah said, and that way he can have a little bit more impact, just a little bit more time, because these Eagles are going to try to cover it up with 4 rushing, and the rest is going to be in coverage. So that's how they'll try to get us this time.
Yeah, I think a lot of the success with Dak Prescott in the first go-around and pretty much this entire year has been his decision-making. He's not out there just throwing the football away, trying to force throws. He's taking care of the football, and also his willingness to use his legs, especially on third down. If he's able to get that going in this game, I think the sky's the limit for this offense.
And we'll talk a little bit more about Dak Prescott later on in the show, about maybe MVP conversation. He's certainly up in the rankings there. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's hear from Dak earlier in the week about the challenge at hand in this Philadelphia matchup coming up.
Yeah, because these are the moments that we've prepared for, to be honest with you. I mean, not that we didn't for all these other past games, but, we understood that we need all of these games, but this is the stretch in the season when you look at the schedule that you had to be excited about. And obviously, as the season has played out and the numbers have gotten where they've gotten, you see the division right here in potential grabs. You see the other playoff teams that you're going to play in the back end of this thing. These are the moments that we've prepared for, we've built for, that we've worked this culture for, this brotherhood, and that's why we've got to be detailed. That's the focus to this team. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of noise. Other people are going to try to make it different than maybe what it is for us. But for us individually in this locker room, it's about playing our best ball right now, so we can use that momentum as we move forward. Pretty cool.
You said you have one big team goal this year. How important is this game
Huge.
to achieving that?
Yeah, huge. Obviously, it puts us in place for the division. Once again, I don't know how that shapes out, to be honest with you. I just know we got to get this game. And there's multiple games left, so we'll focus on that as we get there. But then also just in this sense of trying to get this one home field and understanding our success through the past couple of years and how great it'd be, to play the postseason here at home. So it's huge. It's definitely a big game.
Dak Prescott looking to continue the success not only at home but against the NFC East in this matchup tonight against the Philadelphia Eagles at AT&T Stadium. He's been fantastic. The Cowboys have been fantastic with those 14 straight wins. And let's go on the sideline to join Nick Eatman from AT&T Stadium. Nick, first off, it feels like there's a buzz outside of the stadium for this game. What does it feel like indoors?
Well, it feels like the Cowboys obviously have, they got the white uniforms on, all white. They got the white towels. Everybody's ready to go, ready to roll in here. You don't need a whole lot of buzz from the outside of the stadium for a game like this. I mean, this is Cowboys-Eagles. You guys have been talking about it, first place on the line, and you don't need a whole lot more than that. This rivalry has been heated when neither team was going to the playoffs. So when you have a game like this, obviously it's excitement. The Cowboys know what's in front of them. The Eagles know what they've got to bounce back from. I think it's a game of two desperate teams, and I think when that happens, I think you're in for a really, really good battle.
With the way that things have set up for this matchup specifically, you've been around this organization for 2 decades now. Where does this rank among some of the other Cowboys-Eagles lead-ups that you've seen in the past?
Well, I want to say it's 4 decades, to be honest with you, just because I was here for the 90s. So it's really 4 decades for me. But I think to answer your question, it's 2 teams that are elite in the league. It's not just 2 of the top teams in the division or the conference. I think when you look right now, you look at the power rankings. People do them. If you're into that kind of stuff, still Eagles, Cowboys are top 3 or 4 across the board. I mean, these are the 2 best football teams, and so when that happens, sometimes you see it in college football too. You got 2 teams from the same conference that are the best, and then when they square off, especially twice like this, you're in for a battle. The Cowboys were on the 6-yard line, ready to go score. They didn't get the job done. We'll see if they get the job done tonight.
Where do you feel like Dallas has an advantage over this Philadelphia team on either side of the ball?
Throwing the football down the field. I think that's where the Eagles have shown they've give up some plays. I think the Cowboys are as hot as any team right now, to the point where last game McCarthy's throwing the ball into the end zone when they probably should have run out some time off the clock. But I think that's the confidence level that he has with his quarterback, his receiver, to go make a play. And I think they saw some things at the end of that game against the Eagles. You saw Jalen Tolbert making plays. I mean, it didn't matter who. They were throwing the ball around. I think they feel like they can do that against Philly as well.
You mentioned Jalen Tolbert. Is there another X factor that has to step up tonight for Dallas to come out successfully on the right side of this one?
Yeah, I think it's another receiver like that. It's somebody that you can't cover everyone. You can't cover you can't just double team CeeDee Lamb and expect no one else to make plays. Ferguson made a lot of plays in that game. I see a guy like Schoonmaker maybe doing some things down the field a little bit more. He's starting to open things up with him. And I always think Michael Gallup's going to have, make a play in this game. He actually made a few in that last game as well. Drew a pass interference penalty as well. So, I think the league's cracking down on not calling PIs. I wonder if we're going to see a lot of those tonight.
Nick Eatman joining us from the sideline at AT&T Stadium. Thanks so much, Nick. We'll talk to you again down the line. He's been our X Factor as a part of Pregame Live. But we talk about under the radar. This guy's not that much under the radar. It's Micah Parsons. He continues to have a phenomenal season, leading the NFL in pressures. But how much of an impact does he need tonight for the Cowboys to be successful? Here's what he had to talk about in this rivalry earlier in the week.
I watched the whole game, and one thing they did, they just kept the ball in front of them. They made the Eagles earn everything. They didn't give up no big plays. And, that's always the key when you got an explosive team like the Eagles is. They're very explosive, and they did a great job containing Hurts and things like that. They didn't show up on the stat chart, but we got some, we got some real good rushers over here too to be able to get after them pretty well.
Lane Johnson's ability to time up his kickback with the snap, how much of a unique challenge is that for a pass rusher?
I guess if you slow, it sucks. I don't got that problem.
Yeah.
Is he
timing it up or is he early?
Who cares? Okay. It don't really matter to me. Lane, he's a good player regardless of whether it's early or later. That's the perk. offenses, that's the kind of like the leverage, right? You get that. They know the time and we don't, so whether you're a second behind, and sometimes you jump it, I think that's what D. Ware was really good at. People used to think he was offsides, the way he was able to time up the snap and get off. So, it's just all about, your preparation and what you bring into the game. Obviously, Lane's prepared where he feel like he knows the snap very well, and, that's kudos to him. But good thing for me, I'm a guy I'm go off movement of him. I'm not looking at the ball. So when he goes, I go. So it's a race to our spots.
Micah Parsons, the leader in pressures in the NFL, more than Nick Bosa, more than Josh Sweat, more than Hassan Reddick. Unfortunately, they have two guys in the top 6 of that category. We're going to have to see how the Cowboys' offensive line matches up against those individuals as we welcome you back to the Star in Frisco with Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Micah Parsons sets the tone for this defense. This defense helps set the tone for matchups like this. How important is it for him to get off to a hot start tonight?
He has to be the lead dog. He has to make plays, and more importantly, he has to make plays in big moments. And this is where big players show up. You talk about the defensive MVP, Micah Parsons, you got the world watching. Shine, friend.
Shine, 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 no doubt. How much do you need Micah to finish plays and not just rely on the pressures? How many sacks do you think Micah Parsons needs for him to have a successful game?
1 or 2 sacks, it looks good. It looks good for the window dressing, but those pressures, as long as they're coming from the right angles and keeping Jalen Hurts in the pocket, is better. Pressures will always keep a quarterback off the spot. They make him move around and get him fidgety, especially when you can get a hit in there with those pressures. So all he has to do is continue the pressure, and in the fourth quarter with a minute left, they drive and they down by 3. Sack Michael Parsons. Yes.
As a former offensive lineman, how much does that type of play wear down on the front 5?
Oh, man, it's nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking. If you like me, you going to the sideline saying, Coach, I played 1 year at right tackle. I'm going to sound like, Coach, can we get a tight end over there? Can we get somebody to help us? But it's hard to do that to Parsons because he plays everywhere on the offensive line, so you don't know where he's going to pop up.
And we saw some of those other names from Philadelphia that are going to continue to provide pressure on the Cowboys' offensive line. Where do you need them to step up this week whenever you take a look at this matchup with Philadelphia?
If the middle is strong, Kyle, then we can handle Hassan Reddick. That makes everybody nervous. He's going against our guy,
Terrence
Steele. If we can be strong in the middle and give him some help to the outside, then we can let Dak do what he has to do, and Dak's been magic.
Do you think Terrence Steele can have a better game than he did last time against the Eagles, allowing double-digit pressures back in Week 9?
Oh, definitely. The kid, his technique has gotten better. He's not lunging at guys. He's dropping back. He's fighting. He's giving the guys a chance to run around the horn and not giving them a two-way go inside and out. He's doing a better job. Now he has to play with confidence and trust that what he's been working over the last 4 weeks can work against this great player in Hassan Reddick.
How impressive has the left side of the line been this season? Tyron Smith at left tackle and then Tyler Smith at left guard.
If somebody would have told me that I could practice once a week and be an all-pro player, I would have done it later in my years. But, hey, Tyron Smith has done a super great job, and Tyler Smith is just handling in there. Tyler, get your hands a little bit more inside and be aware of the games, and we can have a great matchup this week.
So you're telling me that when you were playing, you practiced more than one time a week?
3 days, and 2 of them in pads. And if we didn't do right early in the week, we had to go Friday with helmets and shoulder pads. It was ugly, but we won 3 Super Bowls.
But you're okay with Tyron Smith taking some time off if he continues to play the way that he has, right?
If we'd have thought of this 3 years ago, hey, we'd have had him for 16 games. He going, what, a 12-game tear here? Come on. I'm with it.
I'm here for it. I would sign up for it. As long as Tyron keeps playing the way that Tyron's been playing, I'm okay with it, and that's exactly what he's done at that left tackle spot. Let's take a look at the inactive list for the Dallas Cowboys. It's that third and emergency quarterback to lead us off, Trey Lance, Noah Igbenogany, followed by a couple rookies down there at the bottom, Eric Scott Jr., Deuce Vaughn, Awesome Richards, Jalen Brooks. So all rookies outside of Igbenogany and Trey Lance. With that being said, we've got a couple guys activated for this Cowboys team. Let's start with Peyton Hendershot making his return after missing the last 9 games. Nate, whenever you look at Peyton Hendershot, what can he add to this offense?
I guess he's a better run blocker than he is a pass catcher.
No, he's a better pass catcher than he is a run block.
And that sets you up because I have nothing for him. I wish we'd had Austin Richards, to be honest with you, Kyle.
Austin Richards active?
Yes, put him in as an extra blocking tight end, so when we go like that, we can have a power team. That's what I want. But you like this other guy, so you seem to love him.
I do. I like Peyton Hendershot a lot because he can take the top off of a defense. He can work 20 yards downfield. He continues to push the verticality of this offense that hasn't necessarily been there, especially from the tight end position. There's only been one tight end that has shown you that he can catch the ball 10 or more yards down the field, and that's Jake Ferguson. How much has Jake Ferguson been an X factor for your offense recently? Quite a bit. He's been a huge piece of this offense. Dak helps rely on it. Peyton Hendershot is even more athletic as a pass catcher than Jake Ferguson is and has been over the last couple of weeks. So I'm excited to see Peyton Hendershot back in the fold. And I think the other option there was Sean McEwen because Dallas carries 4 tight ends. They have carried 4 tight ends.
Should be Awesome Richards. So we can run the ball outside. No, but we can run the ball outside a little bit more effective. With the other 2 guys, tight end with Schoonmaker and with Ferguson, all-world Jake Ferguson, we can run the ball now. But if we add an offensive line like we used to have in the past, now we can balance this thing up and we can really get going because we need for Tony Pollard, Barry's church boy, to start getting some fantasy points.
And by the way, the 4th tight end that I'm really counting is the fullback of Hunter Lipke, and they're not going to make him inactive along the way for a guy like Peyton Hendershot. Hey, he's been playing and blocking up front too. Yeah. Don't discount the fullback position. You played with a couple great fullbacks.
He's a great special teams player.
Okay. This guy played a little special teams early in his career and has not played as much special teams late. That's Dallas Goedert with the Philadelphia Eagles. He is active. There were some questions in the early parts of the week whether or not Goedert would play against the Cowboys. He's there. 410 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns this year, 38 receptions. Where will he stretch this Dallas defense?
Oh man, he can get up the seams. They do screens with him. He'll bump the outside guy, and then he'll get out into his pass routes. This guy's nice. This guy can hurt us. Our safeties have been playing okay, but they have not been playing great. And if they have an X factor, I think Goddard can be that X factor.
So I talked about how you played with some really good fullbacks. You've played with some really good players. If you had to pick one guy out of your entire tenure that was the best at what he did, who would have been?
Moose. Darryl Johnston.
So it was a great fullback.
Yes, played all special teams, picked up leak when we have leaks in the offensive line. He knew where the most dangerous guy was. He was alert. He was aware. He was smart. And now he's the commissioner of some football league.
XFL. He's been really big in the XFL. Dallas Goedert can add that type of feature to the Philadelphia offense. Another really good player, though, that you played with, it was Emmitt Smith. And we've got Emmitt Smith at AT&T Stadium now with Nick Eatman.
Thanks, Kyle. And you never know who's going to show up to a big game like this. How about Emmitt Smith, NFL all-time leading rusher? What's up, man? What do you think about being down here in a game like this?
You know, this is an exciting night. I know our Cowboys are excited to get back on the football field and compete against a team that we lost to early in the year. But also, this is a chance for us to continue to show progress.
Yeah.
The progress that we've made over the last 3 or 4 weeks has been phenomenal, but tonight is a real sizable test.
What is it about Philly? I mean, it's always, I know that sometimes it's been Washington, it's been the Giants, but what is it about the Philly rivalry in your words?
This Philly team here is a complete football team. And so this team here is built inside out. They're built tough, and they're going to play tough. And so for us, for where we want to go and where we want to be, I look at this as a measuring stick.
Yeah.
I look at this as an opportunity to showcase that we do belong, and we're going to have to match that intensity and that physicality that they're going to bring to the table.
Because you've been there before. Early in your career, it seemed like you had to get over that Philly hump.
We had to get over that. I mean, because when you think back to 1990 when we played Philadelphia over at Texas Stadium, my very first time playing them, I believe it was, they sacked Troy Aikman 11 times.
Yeah.
Bro, 11 times in one game. And he was getting beat up. And Buddy Ryan, them, they just kept bringing the heat. And so we had to match that heat. And it took some time for us to do that. But when Norv came and created that system for us, we were able to get physical with people. And we developed that physicality that we needed, and that's the way Jimmy wanted it anyway.
I don't know. One more question. I know you're busy. I'm going to ask you about a current running back right now, Tony Pollard. He's hurt. I don't know if you ever heard, he's too small. He can't do this. You probably heard that over here.
Shit my whole life.
What do you like about the way Tony's running the ball right now?
You know what? I'm happy that Tony Pollard was able to bounce back because I was real unsure whether or not he will bounce back and to what level. You know, a lot of people are disappointed because his numbers are down. I'm not. And like I always try to tell people try to think that the number 2 guy is always the better back because he has the stats that looks good or he get the flashy runs and so forth. When you become the number 1, all that goes aside because everybody's preparing for you every week.
Right.
And therefore, you're going to have to suffer some 2s and some 1s and some negatives, and then you may get a 4 or 5 here and there, and it's going to balance itself out. And that's what I love about Tony Pollard. He's here. Availability. The best ability is availability, and he's available tonight.
Well, we appreciate you being available. We throw out the term GOAT a lot. This is the real GOAT. I mean, for real. It gets thrown out too often, in my opinion. This is the GOAT. Just look at the record book. If you want Emmitt Smith, thank you so much for joining us. He's the best. Kyle, back to you.
Thanks, guys. Always great catching up with the GOAT and the NFL's all-time leading rusher, Emmitt Smith. He would certainly help provide a jolt for this offense and the way that it's been moving in the right direction. They still have more to go, but have been going in the right direction over these last 5 weeks. And with more on that, we check in with Patrick No C. Walker of DallasCowboys.com. A little bit of science here on this pregame.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of The Science Lab. I am Patrick No C. Walker, and obviously coming soon is the looming rematch between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, which will determine a lot, not only in the NFC East, but in the NFC as a whole as it relates to the playoff seeding going forward. Interesting tidbit I was able to locate in this week's lab coat on the Cowboys break that you need to keep an eye and ear out for.
So 78 series conversion rate, it measures the rate at which teams convert a given series of downs into another set of downs. So to put that in layman's terms, it's the success percentage for the Cowboys or any NFL offense as far as earning another set of downs, be it first, second, third, fourth, doesn't matter. It's about earning the next set of downs. Cowboys right now are 78.4% success rate this season. That is a massive number. If you want context for that, that now puts them in the top 20 most explosive offenses over the past 20 seasons. And those offenses include both of Peyton Manning's offenses in Indianapolis. It includes the 2007 Patriots with Randy Moss. It includes the Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill era from 2016 and then 2020, then 2022. And Dak Prescott and the Cowboys offense did it in 2016 with 79%, roughly 79%. So Dak Prescott has been in this list twice, by the way. But if you want to know how explosive the Cowboys offense has become after those first several weeks of sputtering, they are now one of the top 20 best offenses over the past couple of decades going through the first 13 weeks of this NFL season.
And there you have it, an absolutely jaw-dropping statistic as it relates to Dak Prescott and this Dallas Cowboys offense. And that is why Dak Prescott is a front-runner for the MVP award this season. But so is Jalen Hurts, and the two will square off for the second time this Sunday, prime time, Week 14 at AT&T Stadium. Eagles versus Cowboys. Does it get any better than this? The answer is no. Make sure you tune in, and I know Kyle agrees as well.
You can't argue with the science from Patrick No C. Walker. And, of course, he threw out a lot of numbers there, and most of those have been at how good this Dallas offense has been over the last couple months of the regular season. We talked early in training camp with Mike McCarthy taking over as play caller about the PCP, play caller's purpose, to set up this offense for success, not only early in the game, but as the game goes along and evolves, the ebbs and the flows. They're going to need all of the PCP tonight against this Philadelphia defense and to try and outpace Jalen Hurts. Patrick just mentioned it. Those are two guys that are at the top of this MVP conversation. And when you look at the Vegas odds, they agree. Dak Prescott tied as the favorite atop the list as the favorites to win the NFL MVP, along with Brock Purdy, Lamar Jackson, that one guy that plays for Philly, and then Patrick Mahomes down there at the bottom. But when I look at the Dak Prescott opportunity here, it has to be after winning games. I mean, how important is it for success on the field in order for Dak to even stay in that conversation?
He's got to win this game. I mean, it's head-to-head against one of the MVP, favorites as well as Jalen Hurts. And to me, when I look at it, this guy, his play speaks for itself. All right, this guy's played himself into one of the top, spots in the MVP voting. And I believe if he can continue this stellar play through this tough schedule, the remaining schedule that they have, Detroit, Miami, Philly, Buffalo, if he's able to keep this stellar play, then I don't see anybody catching him when it comes to that MVP trophy. But first things first, he has got to take care of the Eagles tonight.
You have to win the ball games. MVP is not only an individual statistic, but a lot of times it rests on the shoulders of the quarterback who has the best winning team. Yeah. And if you don't win the ball games, if you don't win the NFC East, if you don't have a deep run into the playoffs, you won't have to worry about the MVP race. I'm sure he doesn't even care much about that right now. He more so cares about whether or not these boys need to try to get a ring.
Yeah, that's the number one thing. You look at the last 13 MVP award winners, 12 of them were quarterbacks. 10 of those 12 that were quarterbacks were the quarterbacks of the 1 seed in the playoffs come playoff time, and the other 2 quarterbacks were the quarterback of the number 2 seed come playoff time. So you have to be winning games in order to even be in the most valuable player conversation. Now let's talk about the other guy on the opposite side of that, Jalen Hurts, and what he's done this season. The passing yards, the completion percentage, all of that looks great until you get to that final line on both ends of the stat column, passing and rushing. 10 interceptions, 4 fumbles lost. His 14 giveaways is tied for 4th in the NFL, and he's one of the leaders in interceptions right now. Barry, when you look at Jalen Hurts, where can Dallas force some mistakes with him?
They got to keep him in the pocket, all right? They got to take a page out of what the 49ers did last week. Force him to be that pocket passer, because I don't believe he has a skill set to go out there and beat this Dallas Cowboys team if he remains in the pocket. So to me, got to keep him in there, force him to be a pocket passer, making plays from the pocket in order to beat you. I don't think he can do that. If we look at it, 14 total takeaways. Last year he had 6 total takeaways. So he's kind of mistake prone this year, and I don't know if it's that nagging knee injury that he may have or the fact that his offensive coordinator is gone now. Whatever the case may be, the Dallas Cowboys have got to be able to take advantage of the mistakes he makes if he does make them tonight.
Well, hopefully they continue to force him to make some mistakes. And yeah, you just brought up his offensive coordinator not being there. I believe that's one of the primary reasons, but I'm not here to make an excuse for the man. The majority of those turnovers that he had came on the front end of this season. Now he's on the back half of the season. He's starting to get momentum, much like Dak Prescott has been gaining momentum over the time of his first year offensive coordinator in Coach McCarthy. So these guys both of them are getting more comfortable in their systems. The one thing that separates them is Dak Prescott only has 6 turnovers this year versus the 14, obviously, that Jalen Hurts has. If you get in his face, you pressure him, you hit him like you did last time, he might just cough it up.
Not the cough. Not the cough. Somebody get him a cough drop. Now, Isaiah, from a quarterback's mindset, which one is more concerning or more impactful as the season goes on? Either coming off of a loss like Jalen Hurts, they get blown out by San Francisco last week. Does that bring any concern to you? Or the fact that Dak Prescott's had this overwhelming success? So one guy going in one direction, one going in the other. Which one do you feel like impacts a quarterback more mentally?
You know what? I think they're both dangerous. I think they're both dangerous. In different ways. I think from Dak's perspective, it's dangerous because you don't want him to start hearing the noise. And I think he's done a great job of blocking out the noise. But I always say noise is like water. It's going to eventually seep in there. So hopefully he continues to play in the positive direction. On the flip side, Jalen Hurts, if you're a real competitor, you're pissed off. Right? And one thing about real competitors and real athletes, you want that get back. It doesn't matter who's next up on the docket. Once you get blown out, the next man is going to get the work. He's going to be the can man. Everybody can get it. You just hopefully it can't be the Dallas Cowboys.
He's got this look in his eye. Did you see that? A little twinkle in his eye. Whenever he's got, it just pops out every once in a while.
Competitor, sorry.
That's what it is. Yeah, it's the competitive juices flowing. That means it's a rivalry game. Yes. That's what it means. We've talked about Dak Prescott versus Jalen Hurts, and of course that's going to be a phenomenal matchup. But what about the guys catching the passes from both of those guys? A.J. Brown and C.D. Lamb have been 2 of the top receivers in the NFL. The only category where they are not in the top 5 in the league is the fact that A.J. Brown only has 81 receptions. Oh, darn. He has 81 receptions, which ranks 7th. So he's still phenomenal in the way that he's been catching the ball at a high rate. Both of these guys exceptionally dangerous. Barry, as a former defender, which one would you not want to go up against?
Which one would I not want to go up against? To me personally, I would not want to go against CeeDee Lamb because I kind of struggled when it came to those quick, fast receivers and real twitchy receivers like that. So I'd have rather gone against A.J. Brown. But when it comes to these two guys, I think it just comes down to what cup of tea you like better. Do you like the more flashy, yak after the catch type of receiver, or do you like the more physical, dominating 50-50 ball, he'll just box you out type of receiver? When you talk about receivers, I like the guy that can catch the ball and turn a 5-yard slant into a 50-yard touchdown. To me, that's CeeDee Lamb. Nothing against A.J. Brown because he could do that as well. But at a higher clip, I got to go with CeeDee Lamb right there, to me, as a more impressive receiver.
Which one is more impressive? I'm going to go ahead and hit you with some ebonics. It's called both of them. B-O-F-F apostrophe E-M. Both of them. That's in the Ebonics Dictionary, page 4, Article 2. Listen up. Both of these guys are dangerous, okay? CeeDee Lamb, you just gave all the credit to him in terms of what he can do to hurt your defense. He gets the ball in his hands in this West Coast offense, catches a slant. He's done it many times. Caught a slant and took that thing to the house, or at least for big yardage, multiple first downs, right? You save your team all those plays. And on the other side, A.J. Brown, you talk about another big, fast, physical receiver. Well, the Seattle Seahawks just had one of those, and you had a nice little rough draft in terms of a quiz for this test that you have tonight. So take some of that film, apply it to what you guys have going on tonight, and go out there and be physical at the point of contact. Don't wait on him to bring it. Don't be the nail, be the hammer.
There it is. Lay the physicality on the top of A.J. Brown because he is the one that wants to be physical, and you can see the number below. 7 touchdowns against man coverage this year. Nobody runs more man coverage than the Dallas Cowboys this season. 46% of the snaps defensively are in man coverage. Barry, what does that tell you about what A.J. Brown does well?
Well, to me, that means he's beating guys early and often. And that means at the line of scrimmage, he's giving guys the 1-2 step, and he's out of the gate. So to me, when you talk about getting hands on a receiver, A.J. Brown, you've got to make sure you disrupt that timing between him and Jalen Hurts. And you talk about the man-to-man coverage, which we know Dan Quinn loves to run. But when you got a front four like the Dallas Cowboys have, you can run that man-to-man coverage. So to me, it's up to Parsons. It's up to D-Law. It's up to the crew out there to make things hard for Jalen Hurts out there. Don't let him extend plays out there to help these guys get open. Get to him, force him to throw it from the pocket, and I'm sure you'll have a good afternoon.
You just talked about the defensive line and their ability to impact Jalen Hurts. I think it comes from the defensive back's perspective. They can help out the defensive line because what tends to happen when you start playing these big, fast, physical receivers like you faced last week against Seattle and DK Metcalf, you start backing up. Right? I don't want to get up close to him because he's big, he's physical, he can throw me around, and there's a chance that he might just throw me in and run by me. So the heck what? It's going to happen. That's why you have a safety, Barry. Okay, you make sure that you have the big boys over the top. They'll go out there and knock the mess out of those guys in the case that they do beat you. But you cannot give space and allow these guys to continue to have free releases off the line of scrimmage because they're fast. And whenever you decide to get physical with them, they've already beat you. They have momentum. They're the juggernauts. So get up there. Don't let these guys get their motor going and stop giving them so much respect. Make them earn it.
You know what? I like this conversation. I want to continue this in a couple of moments. First, we're going to hear from Dan Quinn because DaRon Bland did have that pop quiz, like you said, against DK Metcalf. It turned into 134 yards for DK and 3 touchdowns. But there was improvement. I want to talk about how that improvement rolls. But first, let's hear from Dan Quinn about what DaRon Bland has done well this season and what he can continue to work on.
Yeah, I would say what I was probably talked about in the open about resilience, I could have been talking about him to where it was hard, when you play outside at cornerback and quarterback and cornerback, everybody kind of sees what's going on at those two positions. And if you're watching on TV or from home, it's easy to evaluate those positions. And so when you go through a tough spot or a tough stretch and you have to battle back and you have to go for it again, he does have that quarterback mindset that he's resilient, he's tough, knowing that that play took place, it happened, and I got to get on to the next one. Because if you linger on to something or you overthink it, the next one comes. So I think probably the term I'd use for him is resilience. He is tough as hell. He's ready to battle back, and I think going towards the end of the game to have an interception and maybe had a second one that he didn't come down with, but to know that, hey, they're coming after me and I'm going to stand up and fight for it, I thought that's a pretty good sign about who he is.
Dan Quinn and this coaching staff have done a phenomenal job all year long, allowing for many of these defensive players to be at the top of their game, including DaRon Bland, who's had a phenomenal year. You talk about the interceptions, the pick sixes, all of it certainly adds up as the year goes along, but we do have to take a look back to the Seattle game on Thursday Night Football. That was where DaRon Bland struggled against DK Metcalf. Isaiah, was this just a one-off thing for DaRon Bland? What went wrong for him, and is it something we should be worried about moving forward?
You know what, Kyle? I hope that it was a one-off, but this man, DK Metcalf, taught him a lesson. And sometimes you need lessons to help you move forward. DK Metcalf is 6'4", 225 pounds. Boy runs a 4.2. Listen up. And so DaRon Bland knew that coming into the game, so he tried to give him space. But the only problem is when you give somebody space is you have to keep your feet moving. And his feet were stuck in the sand. He allowed DK Metcalf to get on what we call his toes. And once you get in that toe box, then you can't get your hips turned around. DK Metcalf utilized his speed to take advantage. But my boy BCDC has the answers on how to figure this out going forward tonight.
Yeah, without a doubt. When you talk about corners in that position, I think outside of the quarterback position, it's one of the hardest in the National Football League to play because those guys on the other side of the field, they can run just as well as you can run. And when we talk about DaRon Bland and what he struggled with against DK Metcalf, I believe was at the line of scrimmage. He has to get a little bit better at the line of scrimmage when you're going against a guy like DK Metcalf. But all the great cornerbacks I know and I've ever played with in the past, present, whatever you want to talk about, they all have two things. One, ultimate confidence in themselves. We all understand that. They don't care who's on the other side of the field. Whoever that matchup is, they're going to be able to handle that, and they believe they can win. And two, they got to have a short-term memory because in this league, you're going to get beat. At that cornerback position, those guys on the other side of the field, they can run just as well as you can, and you're going to get beat. But you got to have a short-term memory, and that's what I loved about DaRon Bland last week. He went to the sidelines after getting beat in that first half. DK Metcalf took his lunch, ate it in front of him, but he went to the sidelines and he said, you know what, guys, I'm going to get us back. I'm going to get us back in the game, and that's exactly what he did. Had a great second-half interception when he was covering Tyler Lockett, I believe, and got the ball back to his offense. So to me, those are two characteristics you have in great corners, and DaRon Bland has both of them.
And he was able to show that within the course of one singular game. Yes. Now he has a chance to talk about it week by week. This week he has to have a short memory from what happened against DK Metcalf because this week he has A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. He should see time against both of those talented wide receivers. Barry, we're going to let you demonstrate here. Isaiah, stand back. We'll play the part of the wide receiver, which
looks
is
just
good.
like him.
He played like wide receiver. So you will be A.J. Brown. You will be DaRon Bland.
Yes.
How can DaRon have success against A.J. Brown this week?
Well, first we're going to say that's the inside of the field. That's where all your help is on that side.
Quarterbacks on that side. Everybody else is
Everybody's
down there.
in there. Sidelines is out here. So when we look at what DaRon Bland did at press coverage against DK Metcalf and then A.J. Brown this week, what he's going to have to do, because A.J. Brown's a bigger guy. He doesn't have the speed of DK Metcalf, but he's a bigger guy. So when you're at the line of scrimmage with bigger guys like this, one, you got to know where your help is at all times. We know our help is in there with man-to-man coverage with our linebackers, Damone, Clark, Bell. We got Wilson coming down being that rat player in there. So you know you got help in there. And you also got a second friend you have, that sideline on the outside. We all know if you lead him out there to the sideline, he can't be the first one to touch the ball when he gets back in. So you got two friends over there. So what I saw with DaRon Bland when he was in that press coverage situation is he did too much of this. He was reaching. Too much reaching. And there's an old saying that says when you reach against a wide receiver, they're going to teach you a lesson, okay? So when you're reaching out there like that, what happens right here when you reach, all this is stuck in cement. I'm talking about your feet. I'm talking about your hips. Everything is stuck in cement. And that receiver's going to get even with you, and they'll say when they even, they're leaving. So there's a technique I love for cornerbacks. All the good ones play it. It's called the mirror technique. Because when you get pressed, all these young guys think it's all about hands and being physical. You got to use your feet as well. You got to move with the wide receiver. So when A.J. Brown's giving you that back and forth, you just want to move with him. You just want to move with him. Use your feet to kind of either widen his release to the sideline or widen his release to the inside where all your help is. Now, once he's going back and forth like that and he releases inside, he declared where his route is going to be. That's when you want to get that hand on that shoulder. That's when you want to press him. A lot of these young DBs think they got to get their hands on him immediately. No, you got time. You got 5 yards in there to get your hands on these guys. So once he releases inside, you use your mirror technique. That's when you get that hand on him, and that's when you guide him to all your friends in there to help out. You're not on an island out here by yourself. I know it's man-to-man coverage, but use your help, whether it's the sideline or whether it's your guys on the inside. You got to move with them. Use that mirror technique, because if you're stuck in sand like that and you reach out there and he's going to teach you a lesson and all this is locked up. You can't go ahead and then turn and try to catch up with them. These guys are too good in the National Football League. DaRon Bland, I know you're with Al Harris. I know you're with Joe Witt Jr. out there, and I know they've seen all the coverage and all the tape. They're going to get you right this week, but you got to be better at the line of scrimmage, and I believe we'll see a much improved DaRon Bland.
And that's really a credit to the coaching staff. Again, we just heard from Dan Quinn. Al Harris has done a phenomenal job of teaching these guys throughout their young years. You talk about Trayvon Diggs and what he did as a rookie, then how he improved as a sophomore, second-year player in the league. Same thing with DaRon Bland. Now, in his sophomore season, no such thing as a sophomore slump for DaRon Bland. He might have had one down game, but it's a chance to bounce back, and that's one way that this Cowboys defense can continue to improve. I gotta love having Barry Church on the crew. He knows how to outline it as good as anybody. Speaking of outlining it, that's a gift to have here on this show. Gifts were given throughout the holiday season by the Dallas Cowboys, including the gift of time to children in need. This week, the Cowboys had a chance to go visit hospitals around the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. And with more on this year's Christmas visits, here's Nicole Hutchison.
Well, Kyle, sometimes people tend to forget that professional athletes are human beings just like us, and these annual hospital visits are the perfect way to be reminded of that. And so sometimes you saw a little bit of tears. You also saw players making genuine connections with children who are going through a lot during this time. And if you had to ask the players, how would they describe that experience? They'd say it was eye-opening.
There? That work? Anything else? You sure?
My shoe.
There you go. I was about to say the shoe. I was going to say it.
Another beautiful day. The Dallas Cowboys are showing that it's more than about football, right? They continue their annual tradition of making children's hospital visits, and the smiles on their faces were absolutely priceless.
Anytime you could bring light to someone's day, you know, that's what it's all about, especially during this time of the year. But like you said, you know, you come in and they almost like forget they're in the hospital, and to be able to see those smiles on their faces is definitely a blessing.
34 years this tradition's continued, with players and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders making stops at multiple hospitals. This year they made the trip to Children's Dallas, Scottish Rite, Medical City, and Cook Children's.
I get as much from it, I think, as the kids do. It makes me a better person each and every time that I come here and I visit, perspective of life. As I said, understanding that the bigger picture, the fight that these kids have.
Fight that sometimes needs a little extra support. The players help bring hope, encouragement,
Come downhill that safety? Yeah, I love it.
show off some dance moves, and even go one-on-one in video games.
Some of them aren't able to talk, but just able to be in their presence is everything for us. And obviously, you know, everybody don't have the same 24 hours. So seeing them, you know, go throughout their day-to-day and obviously being here to support them is everything.
Sat down with this little girl, and she was just telling me how she plays softball, and I asked her was she any good, and she said yeah. She's played varsity, so you know, it's fun just to, it makes you really appreciate, you know, the little things, because, you know, these kids going through a lot.
Cowboys, let's fight!
Got to meet a couple of kids that I just won't forget their excitement. Speaking sign with one of the kids and his dad. He told me how to say, "We them boys." So it was a lot of great moments today.
Something that stuck with me was what Micah Thomas said, that he said that, you know, these children look up to us and they think that we're superheroes, but in their eyes, the children are more of the superheroes because of everything that they are going through and the way that they are handling it. So I'm looking forward to a lot more experiences like this and seeing these players in a different light. But that's a wrap here in AT&T Stadium. I'm going to send it back to you, Kyle.
Thank you, Nicole. Of course, I know you guys enjoyed those hospital visits. It's a tradition that continues on every holiday season for the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome back into Cowboys Pregame Live. We've got Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Now, the stats don't always tell the story, but they help provide context. And in this situation, this is a game that has big stats all over the place because you've got the offense of Philadelphia, the defense of Dallas, and then vice versa. Everybody has some sort of statistic that goes their direction. We've got some significant stats that we're going to choose between. Which one plays a bigger factor and will carry more weight in this Week 14 matchup? So, for instance, this is our first stat. We've got both defenses for the Cowboys and the Eagles rank inside the top 4 in quarterback pressures, going up against another stat. The Cowboys and Eagles are the only two teams to have more than 3 combined All-Pro selections on their offensive line. So in this question, which one holds more weight? The pressures against the quarterback and the only 2 teams on the offensive line. We're going to let Isaiah start things off. Which one do you think carries more weight?
I believe that it has to be the quarterback pressures. You think about the Dallas Cowboys last time they faced the Eagles, they gave up 18 pressures. Of the top 6 pass rushers or quarterback pressures in the league, this game possesses 3 of them. Micah Parsons, Josh Sweat, and obviously that dude named Reddick. So I'm going to go ahead and go over here.
Got that top one taken care of. Barry, you think about the same thing, or you want to change it up?
Yeah, I got to go with defense on this one. If you can rush the passer and make his job harder than it already is, you already got the advantage. Give me the defense on this.
What do you think, Nate?
We're going to do a triplet there, man. Yeah, I'm going with that because if you can keep Jalen inside the pocket, man, with all that pressure, with the right type of pressure, we got him.
Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead, and whenever you look at both of these, I'm going to agree with you guys. I thought about changing it up, but no, whoever provides more pressure on Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott's going to have a really good shot to win this football game. All right, next one up. These two stats have to do with those two quarterbacks. Dak Prescott is the outright passing touchdown leader with 26 scores through the air. Jalen Hurts has 12 on the ground. He's the leading rusher in terms of the quarterback position this year. Nate, what do you think is more significant in this matchup tonight?
Jalen Hurts, because they can take the air out of the ball. If he becomes a part of the running game, I hate to see that because last time he was hurt. So we got to make sure we stop him versus the run because he can get Swift going by just with that option thing he does.
What do you think?
I'm going to go with Dak Prescott on this one. I know he had an amazing game the first time they went against each other, but this defense has gotten even worse in the secondary. So I expect another big-time game from Dak Prescott.
See, I'm going to agree with you on this one because overall this defense gives up the big play. Philadelphia is susceptible in that secondary. Dak Prescott's been playing the best games of his career. I think he's got a chance. I brought you up last year, Isaiah, for a good reason.
Why is that?
You're a dual-threat quarterback.
Yeah.
You knew how to run it. You knew how to throw it. So your vote here carries a lot of weight.
You guys all three of y'all have valid points, but I'm going to go ahead and rock with Jalen Hurts because his ability to get out the pocket, you mentioned how he was not healthy, yet he still had 10 rushing attempts last time we played him. I think he has a big ability to go ahead and disrupt what Dallas does defensively, especially at home when you can extend drives. You want to get these guys off the field. Running quarterbacks don't allow for you to do that, so I have to go with Jalen Hurts.
And both of these guys are going to try and find some success in the red zone. That's the next thing up. Eagles have allowed a red zone percentage toward the bottom of the league, but the Cowboys are around middle of the pack in terms of the red zone. Who do you think has more success in that red zone, Barry? We'll start with you.
Gonna put me on the spot. I believe that the Cowboys will have more success in the red zone. If this was an away game, I would may have to differ a little bit, but the Cowboys have done great at home in the red zone. Then Dan Quinn we trust. I got to go with the Cowboys on this one.
What do you think?
I'm going to go with the DQ because he has the IQ. Here we go, baby.
Got Isaiah there, too.
I don't know how to spell it, but I'm going with both of them.
Both.
Just put it right there, make it work either way.
I'm going with the Cowboys.
Go with the Cowboys. I'll circle yours to make sure it happens. I'm going to go with the Cowboys here too. Okay. I think they've played better in the red zone. They've started to utilize their weapons. Brandon Cooks has multiple touchdowns, 3 touchdowns in his last 4 games. They worked against the red zone defense of Seattle well on that Thursday night football matchup. I think they have that same sort of success against the Eagles today. Again, stats don't always tell the story. We've outlined the stats. We've outlined the X's and O's, but it's the Cowboys. Ultimately, they're going to have to get the job done. The men in the silver helmets. Tonight, it's actually the white helmets, but they're going for gold. Same thing as Gabby Thomas, who's an Olympic medalist. She's now on the sideline pregame as the Stars are out in Arlington.
Well, Kyle, it's not every day where we get to actually interview a 2-time Olympic medalist and a world champion, Miss Gabby Thomas. Now, Gabby, first off, it was your birthday a couple of days ago, December 7th. What did you do to celebrate your birthday?
So I just came back from Nashville. So me and my friends, we took a trip for the weekend, and then I came here. But it was a lot of fun.
Okay, cool. Now, I kind of want to talk a little bit about your season so far. You won the World Champions in Budapest this summer.
Yeah.
How would you assess the way that your season's going so far?
For me, that was just an incredible season. I felt like I really grew and matured as an athlete. I feel more seasoned as an athlete, and just going into Paris 2024 this next year, having that under my belt, having a gold medal, having a silver medal, I feel really prepared. I feel good.
Yeah, and with the Olympics being in 2024, what's kind of the goal for you?
I mean, for me, a gold medal is going to be the goal. You know, I did the Tokyo Olympics, and then I came and did World Championships, and now I just feel really confident. I'm feeling really excited.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really positive energy and good momentum going into it. So I'm ready.
You have one of the top times in the 200 meter in the world, 21:60.
Yes.
I mean, just talk about the mindset that you have to have as far as the training and things like that. Because I think I saw where you wrote a paper on rest.
Oh my gosh.
How important is rest in maintaining that balance of not competing too much before big races like that?
I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot that you have to be super mindful about as a pro athlete. And I mean, we're training every single day for hours, and that takes a lot on your body. So for me, like, I'm making sure that I'm resting, I'm getting my sleep, because recovery is 50% of the job.
Yes.
So I'm resting, I'm eating right, I'm sleeping. Lord knows I sleep over 8 hours every night.
Is there anything that you're doing differently for your training, or is pretty much the same thing after last year's season?
Yeah, same thing. Just trying to, like, solidify everything that I did right. So making sure that I'm strict, I'm being, like, really diligent about my nutrition and about my sleep. And, just enjoying and having fun.
You went to the University of Texas as well.
I did.
How do you feel about Texas making the college football playoffs? Are you excited about that?
I am excited. It's amazing. It is amazing. Yeah, I am a UT grad, so I love it. I love it, hook 'em. But so it's exciting to be in Austin for that.
Well, best of luck to you this season. We're going to manifest a gold medal in the 2024 Olympics for Gabby Thomas. I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
Okay, here's the thing, Nicole and Gabby. I mean, we've got a Sugar Bowl rivalry going on right here. UW himself, Isaiah Stanback going up against the Texas Longhorns. We'll have to have maybe a little friendly wager.
You want to race?
Gabby,
you want to race?
No, you don't want to do that. I was about to say, that is a bad idea for you. Bad idea. Wrapping things up here, of course, over the next couple minutes, we've got Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. Let's take a look at the run game, because that will play a factor on who is successful in this Cowboys-Eagles matchup. Starting with DeAndre Swift and the Eagles on the ground. They can still run the rock quite a bit. However, DeAndre Swift has not gone over 100 yards rushing since weeks 2 and 3 this season. How does Dallas continue playing good run defense against this Eagles front?
Well, they got to be gap discipline to start out with. No hero ball out there. You're going against an RPO. We all understand that is one of the toughest offenses to go against, because you got to look at so many different things, but you got to trust with your teammates. If you're in the A gap, stay in the A gap and trust that your other guy is going to do his job as well, because when you start playing hero ball, trying to make every play out there, that's when your defense gets ate up. And we saw it happen before with this offense. So to me, stay in your gaps. You'll be able to contain DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, he's very true. It's very right. But the thing is, like, you have to be gap disciplined while doing your stunts. Dallas Cowboys front seven likes to do stunts. They like to go across the face. They like to bring guys on TE and DE stunts, all kinds of things. And what happens is, if you get caught in the middle of that stunt and you get washed out of a hole, now you're not gap disciplined, and those holes open up like the Red Sea. And the last person you want going through the Red Sea is DeAndre Swift, because that boy is just that, Swift.
I agree with you 100%, Isaiah. Be slow on the stunt. Start out, you got your four-man front, you got D-Law, and you got Parsons. These two guys are key. They're going to have to read, because the minute you veer down in there, that kid Hurts going to pull it out, and he's going to take it to the house.
Yeah, if that's one thing that Dallas can continue to slow down. They've done a great job as of late of limiting other teams' leading rushers, and if they can continue to keep those numbers down, it allows for this offense to be limited in what they can do. We talked about the weapons with Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith and company. If the run game's not there, it's hard for them to really get going to their full potential. Same thing can be said for the Dallas offense as well. Dak Prescott needs the play action. He needs the run game from a guy like Tony Pollard, who's been playing better football. Do you think this is the time to unleash Tony and continue his good play down the stretch?
Yes, give my man the ball, all right? Tony Pollard, he is a bell cow back. He can do it, all right? They just pull him out every now and then. And what confuses me is when Rico, who is an excellent back in his own right, gets in the game, they do more of the outside speed stuff with Rico. When you have a bona fide number one back in Tony Pollard that can do all the stretch stuff, that can be a screen guy, that can catch out of the backfield, use Tony Pollard. They've been doing a better job these past couple weeks. Keep it up, man. He's an explosive player.
The man wears number 20 because he needs 20 touches. You understand me? Give the man 20 touches. He's been gradually working his way up to it. For the first half of the season, he had 12 touches, 10 touches. Now he's got 17. Now he got 20. I need to see 20, and then Ebonics Dictionary is Twinkie. But either way, I'll take it.
I tell you, ladies, right here, believe this right here. They're building him up. They're starting to make him that featured guy that we're talking about. But more importantly, they're using him to the outside, and they're letting him, and they're throwing him some passes. So he will get those 20 to 22 touches. And tonight, I will agree with Isaiah 100%. Use number 20.
I think Isaiah's been reading this Ebonics dictionary far too much.
Trying to educate the
He's just sitting there at night. He's hanging out. He's got his feet propped up, and he's just reading through the Ebonics dictionary.
You know what I'm saying? Citizens.
That's what's happening. All right, let's go back out to AT&T Stadium and hear from Stephen Jones, who's joined by Nick Eatman.
Thank you, Kyle. And as always, we're joined by Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. And welcome to the playoffs, or at least that's what it feels like out here. I mean, this has got everything you would want at a playoff atmosphere. Is it because a game like this really does matter for the playoffs?
Well, this is why you're involved in the NFL. I mean, playing the Eagles, obviously they're in first place in the East. They got something we want, and they beat us last time at their place. So we've got our work cut out for us, but feel like our team's prepared. I think we'll execute and give ourselves every opportunity to get this done.
You had a chance to beat the Eagles the first time around. It was right there at the doorstep. Didn't happen. How about the way your team responded since then, reeled off 4 straight wins?
Well, hats off to Mike and the coaching staff, our leadership on our football team, starting with Dak and Micah, offensive line group. Everybody just knew, we got to take it to the next level. And certainly we still got some football left to play this season, but no, it all starts here right now. This is obviously a huge, huge game for us, and a huge game for them as well, I'm sure. And we just got to get out there and do what we do.
You have a tough football team with a lot of tough players. Your head coach is pretty tough as well, too. Can you talk a little bit about that? You guys keeping an eye on him tonight?
We did. We had a great visit pregame in there with him, and he wouldn't miss this for anything. I mean, he's going to be up there. He's going to work his way through it, and like you said, he's tough. He's a Pittsburgh tough, and he's ready to roll.
And if not, Barry Switzer's here. He can maybe help call some play. No, maybe.
Absolutely. Oh, Barry's still sharp as a tack now.
Yeah, you've got a lot of, this sideline's filled. You got Emmitt Smith, I'm sure that you've seen. We got sprinters, we got singers, we got all kinds of people here.
No, hey, this is what it's all about. Everybody wants to be a part of this, and certainly glad we've got the electricity here tonight and know our guys will be ready.
How about Micah Parsons? He showed up on the injury report with the illness. You concerned at all about his availability?
He's going to play. There's no question in my mind. He's going to be out there playing. Whether he's got the flu or whatever it is, he'll be rolling.
There's a lot of talk, though. I'll ask you one more. A lot of talk about the mental aspect of this team. Do they need to beat a team like Philadelphia? Do you think that matters? I know it matters because it's a division game, but you need to see that.
No, I just think we got to go out and win the game that's in front of us at the moment. It just so happens it's the Eagles. They're in first place. It'd be a big win for us to go out and get. We certainly need to do it if we want to end up where we want to end up, which is we want to win the East.
Right. Well, there's a lot of people that want to talk to you, so we appreciate you stopping by. Thank you. That's Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. We'll see you. Kyle, right back to you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. And I love the way Nick started it off there. Welcome to the playoffs. That's what we've got tonight. This is a playoff caliber atmosphere, and it's got some playoff caliber implications as well. Final couple seconds. It's our keys to the game, Barry. What you got?
I got 2 of them for the defense. All right. 1, you got to keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket. Force him to be a pocket passer. And secondly, if he makes a mistake, take advantage of it. Don't let him off the hook. Take advantage of all the mistakes, and you'll walk away with a dub.
Okay, since you had 2, I'm going with 2.
Okay.
All right, you understand me? First of all, you need to go ahead and force 2 turnovers from the Philadelphia Eagles. And then once you get those 2 turnovers, I need you to go up by 2 scores early on. Use the fact that you're at home. Use the home field advantage. Use all that energy from the crowd. Go up 2 scores and stay up.
Be detailed in what you do. Don't step out of bounds when you finish score. Check in with the ref if you're the extra tight end and you're a tackle and you're tight. Check in. Make sure your right route is precise on short yardage, on touchdowns, and score in the red zone. That was 5.
There are a lot of them there, but hey, you're right, though. Detail-oriented. This was a game back in Week 9 that would have gone the Cowboys' way if a couple plays would have been more detail-oriented. That's what type of game this is from AT&T Stadium in Arlington. 7:20 kickoff, NBC's Sunday Night Football. This is why we're football fans. It's the Cowboys and the Eagles. That does it for Cowboys Pregame Live. We'll see you post-game.